25 years of broadcasting excellence. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy997FM studios here in Kokomlemle at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including ATL FM in Cape Coast, Kekeli Radio in Ho. It's also on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G, just a touch. In this edition, university campuses and basic schools across the country empty as they oblige the president's call for all schools to be shut down until further notice.
No reading. Yeah, we are just there, just looking on our phone, just trying to see whether we get updates on the corona outbreak. So we are just there. We are reading our books too indoors.
We're live in the regions as well. Meanwhile, parents laud government's move but say the announcement could have come earlier to ensure preparations are put in place.
The kids are home.
And who is taking care of them?
Well, that was one of the skills we had to go over this morning. So some of these things would appreciate it when the response to the public comes out at appropriate time so people can really make decisions.
And as frontline staff lament lack of logistics, Ghana Health Service distributes 13,000 protective equipment to frontline health workers in response to the coronavirus.
We have for now enough. We will need more.
And beyond the 10,000, what's the plan for bringing more?
We also had a batch of another 3,000, and we are still procuring a lot more.
So we have at least 13,000 which have been brought into the country.
Yes.
Also, former President John Mahama urges Ministry of Health to set up isolation centers across the country to contain the spread of the virus as Ghana records 6 cases.
This is not a time for words. The virus is not only an Accra or Tema problem, as we have noticed. Government must therefore immediately ensure the provision of isolation centers in all regions of the country.
He has meanwhile called on government to immediately publish a comprehensive plan to deal with the pandemic in sports.
Finding solutions to the fixture pile-up, the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League could be decided by mini-tournament.
We have all that and more here in this edition of the Midday News. I am Memefa Pau. Details shortly. And in our very first story for this afternoon, Joy News checks at various schools, including basic and tertiary institutions across the country, shows a general compliance to the directive by the President for the suspension of public gatherings. President Akufo-Addo Sunday evening, in a televised address, ordered the closure of all educational institutes with effect from today, March 16, 2020. Now, this call came hours after health authorities announced that 6 cases of COVID-19 have been recorded in the country. He also ordered the suspension of all public gatherings for the next 4 weeks.
I chaired a meeting of the Interministerial Committee on Coronavirus Response. After deliberations, I've decided, in the interest of public safety and the protection of our population, all public gatherings, including conferences, workshops, funerals, festivals, political rallies, sporting events, and religious events such as services in churches and mosques have been suspended for the next 4 weeks. All universities, senior high schools, and basic schools, i.e. public and private schools, will be closed Monday, 16th of March 2020 till further notice. However, BECE and WASI candidates will be allowed to attend school to prepare for their examinations, but with the prescribed social distancing protocol.
Well, 14 hours after this directive, our regional correspondents across the country have been monitoring the situation at the various universities and basic ones. Let's begin from the nation's premier university, the University of Ghana, where my colleague Maxwell Agbagba is currently stationed. Maxwell, how will you describe the situation on campus so far?
Well, Emefa, the first sign of what looks like a partial lockdown can be observed at the entrance of the university, where taxi drivers have told me that they have become idle because there's a huge decrease in the number of students who require their services at this point. Usually on you find many of the students who live in Accra arriving on campus after spending the weekend at home. But that is not the case today. Just 100 meters away is the university's gymnasium and the swimming pool, where a lot of students usually go in the mornings to go and keep fit. When we got there, the doors were shut today with a notice that it wouldn't be open until further notice. The school swimming pool is also not opened for the same reason. What is striking, however, is the number of people we saw on the University of Ghana campus with surgical masks and hand gloves. It's not just the students who are taking precautions, but if you come here to the night market where a lot of students go to get their groceries and food, all the sellers you find here at the night market are wearing surgical masks. A lot of them also have their hand gloves. If you go to the various halls of residence, the porters at the various halls of residence will not allow you in until you sanitize, your hand. So really, if you come here to the University of Ghana, the streets look quite deserted too. We were at the new N Block 1, the new N Block 2, the new N Block 3. These are very busy lecture halls here on the University of Ghana campus. It is deserted. Same as the John Scotty building, we were there, it was deserted. At the University of Ghana Business School, with these streams of students, walking in every day, every hour, there's virtually nobody. They're not even outside using the Wi-Fi. All of them are in their various halls of residence. We told majority of them are in their rooms, observing or complying with the directive issued by the president and the vice chancellor of the university. So really, MFF, to come here, it's virtually a ghost town with students locked up in their rooms.
Well, so you didn't get the opportunity to interact with any of the students on the impact of this directive on their learning and teaching activities?
Well, some of them I spoke to say that they are quite happy that lectures have been suspended because they are also in a panic situation because they know that now the virus, is here on the University of Ghana campus, so they have to take precautions. Some of them are afraid or are scared that what it means now is that a 4-week break would mean more workload for them when school resumes subsequently.
Well, that's my colleague Maxwell Agwagba from the University of Ghana. Let's visit one more basic school in the capital before we move to the other regions. My colleague Ifwa Evans Chinri has been touring some of these basic schools in the capital. Ifwa, which schools have you visited and what was the situation?
I've been to schools and also spoken with some of the parents to find out how they feel about the president's directive. Let me start off with my visit to the schools. Most of these schools are the senior high schools. Empty classrooms, empty school compounds, and some idling students is what you find in these schools. And these are mostly senior high school, as I said earlier. Parents who couldn't stay up to listen to the president or probably shut their eyes and ears to what was happening on social media woke up this morning and got their children ready for school, only to be told school activities have been suspended. Some of these parents say the announcement should have come earlier so they could have adequately prepared for their children to stay at home.
So what happened? This one, when we came here, we heard that the government have given holidays to the students, all the schools in Ghana. So we decided to bring them to our workplace.
But how do you feel about all of this? Having your children with you here at work, will you be able to concentrate?
I don't have problem since the school place is very easy to contract the sickness.
Where are your children right now?
The kids are home.
And who is taking care of them?
Well, that was one of the skills we had to go over this morning. We managed to find assistance in getting this done. But then we would have loved for this announcement to have been made a little earlier because they need prepared parents. One of the key problems, some parents who live very far away from their ward schools would have had this morning would have been having to send the kids back, food to take care of them before they come back to work. So some of these things, when the decisions are made, we would appreciate it when the response to the public comes out at appropriate time so people can really make decisions. But then it's in the right direction.
You heard the lamentations of the parents that interacted with my colleague Ifwa Evans Chinri. Away from the capital, we head to the Ashanti region where my colleague Ohiming Terrier has been touring some schools as well. Ohiming, which ones did you visit? Is the situation any different?
I have been visiting Agric Nzema Community Day Senior High School, Jache Pramso Senior High School, Ejisumai Senior High School, and then St. Louis Senior High School. I must say the situation is not different, with the exception of some of the schools that we have Form 3 students writing mock exams. The school authorities are not happy because some of them, they have some of the day students, their population almost the same as those in the boarding facilities. For instance, SHS3 at Jachipam, so for instance, out of the 1,003 students who are boarders, they have 320 who are day students, and the fear of the school authorities is that once they have day students who go home unmonitored, the likelihood of they coming back to school, maybe having been in touch with carriers of the coronavirus, is very high.
You heard that my colleague Ohiming Teria, that's the situation in the Ashanti region. Well, Metro Health Director for Kumasi, Dr. Akosua Jima, says parents will have to take some precautions to protect children as schools shut down.
These are all imported cases. Once you don't have community transmission, there is a less risk of people exposing. But as soon as we begin to report community cases, then these slums have to be attended to as urgently as possible. For now, I don't think that we should raise the alarm level. We are still at a phase where we are dealing with imported cases. It should be one step at a time. So we may not be able to look at that. What we need to do is to take the precautionary measures, good hand washing, good hand sanitizing, and ensure that we lead our lives well. I'm sure once we get to the level where there is an active community transmission, the president will make a pronouncement to deal with these slums which are around us.
So you heard rather there, you didn't hear Dr. Akosua Jima, I apologize for that, but this is the health director for Kumasi interacting with my colleagues in Kumasi. We'll head to the northern region now, where my colleague Martina Bugri has visited a few basic schools as well. Martina, what did you find?
What I found was that most of the students who came in early today had gone home. Not too many of them came. A lot of them had heard the president's directive and had stayed home. Just a few came and they were asked to go home. I went to the Takataka cluster of schools. I went to the Lamashegu cluster of schools and also the SDA schools. What I also found out was that the Form 3s who were supposed to be in school, just a handful came. One of the head teachers at the basic schools and the Form 3, one of the basics who said that if the information they are getting, which is creating panic, continues, they might be forced to let the Form 3 stay home because they don't have too many of them. A class that could take like 40 students had about probably 10 students. And she says that if this continues, then they would be forced to ask the Form 3s to also stay home. I also have been speaking to some of the parents about what they know, how to prevent it from getting to their walls, and they've been telling me how to sanitize their hand, wash their hands, keep their children safe away from others, and make sure that they are home.
I go to buy alcohol even though the sanitizer is non-high in the market. I go to buy alcohol and use it anytime I move around. I use it to wash my hands and all that, and make sure that I use even the cloth which I tear and tie to cover my nose. So these are some of the things I've been doing.
Well, Pia Bontin or Bow, or the seminar, or let you so Behorn and Sat. Now the hand sanitizer, apple pan and some. Oh, Namoa, oh, yellow, and now, oh, control idea or market to cry. Obey you some max, nose.
You look at the way you move yourself, like greetings and all other things, or you can go closer to people like the way you used to go closer. Then if you don't have the sanitizer and then all other things, we can get soap like this, the chemical one, the one that they put chemical, you know that when you wash it, the dirty on your hand can go.
Some parents in the northern region interacting with Martina Bugri. Let's head down south to the central region now, where my colleague Richard Kojanyako has been monitoring the situation on the University of Cape Coast.
The University of Cape Coast was a scene to watch last night. That was after the president made the announcement that all schools should be closed down. The students went on wild jubilations at the various halls of residence. I was at Kesleyford Hall, I was at the Valco Hall, and you could see some of the students carrying their bags, and we do not know where they were sending their bags to at that time of the night, and some also were dragging dustbins. Today, it's been calm on the University of Cape Coast campus. Even before the president's announcement, the university had provided some Veronica buckets at the various entry points where gatherings will be held, and so there were soaps and water that they could wash their hands with before they entered into any gathering. They also had provided some sanitizers for people to also wash their hands with.
So that's Richard Kojonyako when he monitored the University of Cape Coast campus earlier. He joins us now from his tour of the some basic schools. So Richard, for the Form 3 students who will be attending classes, what measures are school authorities taking to protect the children?
Well, so senior high schools across the length and breadth of the central region had emergency management meeting this morning, and these are some of the things they are putting in place. One, that they are going to provide Veronica buckets filled with water and carbolic soap for hand washing. Two, they are going to decongest Form 3 classes with large sizes by moving the class to dining halls and then the long rooms to avoid overcrowding. They are also going to provide flyers indicating precautionary measures as a means of educating the school community of how to avoid the disease, and then they are going to post them on various places. And also they are urging the staff and students to kindly request to keep alcohol-based hand sanitizers with them always, and they are urging the Form 3 teachers to also be in the classroom because their students will be in the classroom because the directive does not affect them. And
that's my colleague Richard Kojonyako. We'll take a quick drive now to the Western region where correspondent Natalia Kwanza reports that the Takrady University has locked all of its lecture halls and put in other measures to prevent any spread of the virus.
For instance, the Takrady Technical University, which I've visited this morning, you can see a few students who are moving on campus. All lecture halls have been closed down, have been locked with padlocks. I spoke to the Vice Chancellor, Reverend Professor Frank Ishen, who says that for now what they are doing is the students who have been in school, they are keeping them there because if they should also leave them to go, there is a possibility of spreading. And those who are not yet on campus, they would have to stay home. So after 2 weeks, when everything is okay, they've also put up emergency centers at the school's clinic so that if we check students in case they see any sign. So those who are not yet on campus should stay at home. Those who are on campus, they are keeping them for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they will let them go back home.
And we can't end our regional tour without going to the Volta region. Ivy Setoji is monitoring the situation there for us. Ivy, where have you been today? How are people and students responding to the president's directive?
Well, earlier I was at the Keta and Anoga district where students and school children were stopped on their way to school to go back home because they were not supposed to be in school due to the coronavirus disease, and the president issued a directive that all schools should be closed. And so most of these students and children went back to their various homes. And then at Kitasco, we saw students entering some buses ready to take them back to their various towns. And so according to them, all of them are supposed to leave the campus before 5 p.m. today.
That's my colleague Ivy Setoji. That's it for our regional tour in terms of the directive put out by the president and how people are, abiding by it. Well, it's now confirmed that 5 Ghanaians and a Norwegian have so far tested positive for the fast-spreading COVID-19. So what do we know about these 6 persons and where they've been in the last 5 weeks?
All 6 cases have so far been described as imported because each of the individuals involved recently returned from a trip abroad. Case number 1. This is a 36-year-old Ghanaian male resident in Accra who is said to have returned from a trip to Turkey on February 29th. He tested positive for COVID-19 on March 12. Turkey has recorded 18 cases with no deaths. Case number 2 is a 60-year-old Norwegian male who returned to Accra on the 7th of March 2020. Samples from him were also obtained and tested on March 12. Case number 3 is described by the Ghana Health Service as a 56-year-old Ghanaian who returned from a trip to the United Kingdom on March 4th. After a 10-day stay in the UK, he developed symptoms on the 10th of March, reported to a hospital in Abuasi on the 12th of March. The UK has so far recorded 1,391 cases with 35 deaths. Case number 4 is a Ghanaian student of the University of Ghana who is said to have been on the distance program. She returned to Ghana on the 9th of March 2020 from a trip to the United States of America The USA has 3,802 cases, with 69 deaths recorded. Case number 5 is a 42-year-old Ghanaian male who returned to Ghana on the 8th of March 2020. He had traveled to Switzerland and the UK in the past 14 days. Switzerland has recorded 2,217 cases with 14 deaths. Case number 6 is a 41-year-old Ghanaian male who reported to the Tema General Hospital on 14th March 2020. He had traveled to Germany and Turkey in the past 14 days. Germany has recorded 6,215 cases with 13 deaths. All 6 persons are said to have come into contact with at least 181 people. Health officials have begun aggressive contact tracing to find all of them.
Now, that's by way of tracking all the 6 cases recorded so far in Ghana. Now, the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research says it has supplied kits to Anglo Gold Ashanti in Obuasi for sample collection from persons who may have come into contact with the company staff who tested positive for coronavirus. Now, it comes as the Ghana Health Service begins contact tracing of all persons who came into contact with the affected staff member. The kits include 30 tubes and 60 swab sticks to be used if any of them show symptoms of the disease, and subsequently for swift submission of the sample to KCCR for testing. We'll hear from the Health Service and Dr. Michael Ogusu of the Department of Medical Diagnosis at the KCCR shortly. But we'll stay in Obuasi issue, on the Obuasi issue particularly, because in addition to the announcement of 4 more confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Ghana, there's also seemed to be some friction between government and the press as the Information Minister sought to cast doubt over media reportage of coronavirus cases. My colleague Joy997FM has been tracking both sides of this apparent row. Now, Kojo, what seems to be the problem actually?
Well, MFA, soon after 9 a.m. on Saturday's edition of Newsfile, Fred Smith, the head of our health desk, broke the news of 1 confirmed case of COVID-19 in Obuasi. Here's what Fred Smith said.
What I have for you is that Ghana could be announcing a 3rd case of coronavirus today. A gentleman who flew in, worked at the Obuasi mines, we understand, was tested at the facility in Kumasi, and we do understand that this test turned positive, and we expect officials to announce that today.
Do we have any idea when exactly this 3rd announcement will be made?
Well, our information is not specific. It may be 2 days or 3 days ago. He arrived at the Kotoka International Airport. I do not know which airline brought him, but we understand he went by helicopter from Kotoka directly to Obuasi.
So we have an idea where exactly this gentleman is now?
Yes, he's in Obuasi as we speak.
So that was our announcement on Newsfile on Saturday. Now, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah alluded to this at a news conference yesterday. Let's listen to his reaction.
I think yesterday there were reports of somebody got into the country, got on a helicopter and got elsewhere. We are finding out that all of that is not true. And we beg of you to refer to the official platforms. We will do our best within every 6 hours to update the case count. And if there's any further detail, make it available to you.
So, Joy997FM, right after this press conference held by the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, we know that Anglo Gold Ashanti issued a statement. What did it say?
Well, the first paragraph of the statement dealt with this issue, and I will read it. It says, and I quote, Anglo Gold Ashanti Ghana confirms an employee at its Obuasi gold mine in Ghana has tested positive with the COVID-19 virus. The employee is a Ghanaian who lives in the mine's accommodation and who recently returned from travel abroad. All necessary protocols were immediately activated as soon as the employee presented himself to medical staff with flu-like symptoms. The employee is in self-isolation in his home under close monitoring by health professionals.
So make of it what you will in terms of what you've heard so far. That's it. On that, Kojo, let's now go back to the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, where Dr. Michael Ogusu of the Department of Medical Diagnosis at the KCCR has been speaking to us.
And we've told them that as soon as any patient begins to experience the signs and symptoms, they should collect the sample and give it to us. And within 4 to 6 hours, KCCR will test and deliver the results to them. As you know, testing is a sure way of identifying the cases, isolating them and managing them. And for us at KCCR, we are working 24 hours to ensure that results are delivered to these patients as soon as possible. So KCCR is not working in isolation. We work with the Public Health Division of the Ghana Health Service. We work with the Kofanochi Teaching Hospital, and we are constantly in the KNUSC Public Health Division as well. So these are the points where samples are supposed to be collected. So what we advise is that when you experience any symptoms, call the hotlines for the region. The region will bring their team, collect your sample, and for us, our labs are open.
We'll take a quick break here on the midday news. When we return, as frontline staff lament lack of logistics, Ghana Health Service distributes 13,000 protective equipment to frontline health workers in response to the coronavirus.
We have for now enough. We will need more.
And beyond the 10,000, what's the plan for bringing more?
We also had a batch of another 3,000, and we are still procuring a lot more.
So we have at least 13,000 which have been brought into the country.
Yes.
Also, former President John Mahama urges Ministry of Health to set up isolation centers across the country to contain the spread of the coronavirus.
This is not a time for words. The virus is not only an Accra or Tema problem, as we have noticed. Government must therefore immediately ensure the provision of isolation centers in all regions of the country.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Good things come in two, Sampa. Mienu ye chemba kwate. And Nunti, from the second month of the year, for 2 months, DSTV is giving you 2 months DSTV access subscription instead of one when you buy a DSTV Zapper. Nothing so. Yes, step you up more than last month. Just pay for a higher package and DSTV will step you up to the one above that from 40 Ghana cedis all month long. SMS DSTV to 1731 and we will call you back or call 0302 740 540. DSTV, feel every moment.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports now. We have more COVID-19 cases.
Oh, I'm not confirmed this, in the world of sports, but of course, we know here in Ghana, the Ghana Football Association has complied with the president directive to put a halt to all sports-related activities. So the Ghana Premier League and all the other football competitions are off. In Europe, the European Football Governing Body is looking at options in terms of completing its competitions. Now, a mini tournament to decide the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League will be one option put forward to ease fixture congestion caused by the coronavirus outbreak. European Football Governing Body UEFA is hosting a video conference with major stakeholders tomorrow. Euro 2020 is set to be postponed to allow league seasons to be completed. Now, a source close to the situation says all parties must be ready to sacrifice something to reach a solution. And all 55 UEFA members, the boards of the European Club Association and the European Leagues, and a representative of World Players Union FIFPro have been invited to Tuesday's meeting. MFA.
Well, thank you very much, Hans. And now, the Ghana Health Service says 13,000 personal protective equipment has been distributed to frontline health workers in response to the coronavirus outbreak in Ghana. Listen to Dr. Patrick Abuaji, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service on the Super Morning Show today.
We have, for now, enough. We will need more. And it's for the same reason that we are doing these measures so that we don't get to a stage where we need thousands and millions of protective gear. And that's why we are happy that the government has taken these actions now so that we don't have community transmission and then we can cut further transmission. But the essence is not to just buy all these things and not prepare to identify and contain. And that's our top priority so that we don't get into the spikes.
And beyond the 10,000, what's the plan for bringing more?
We also had a batch of another 3,000.
Now, former President John Mahama is urging the Ministry of Health to set up isolation centers across the country to contain the spread of the coronavirus as Ghana records up to 6 cases. He spoke a while ago on his social media platform.
This It's not a time for words. What the government did not address is the wide-reaching economic impact of the pandemic. We've seen governments around the world make bold moves to protect their economies, and we should expect the government of Ghana to respond rapidly to this challenge. I therefore call on government to publish its plans to protect the economy, including the possibility of a statement to Parliament on the expected impact on our economy of the disruptions of COVID-19 on global supply chains and international travel. A comprehensive budget review to Parliament may be necessary subsequently.
Now, let's quickly speak to the head of our health desk here, Fred Smith. Fred, a lot is happening in Ghana in terms of measures being taken to contain the spread, but globally, what are the updates?
Well, nearly 170,000 cases recorded so far, majority of it now outside of China. In China, there are 860 cases. Outside China, there are 88,000 plus cases. The death toll has now passed 6,500. And if you look at the Johns Hopkins coronavirus tracking map, cases are easing in China, and China, we know, had been recording in excess of 1,500 cases daily at the peak. Today, they are recording cases around 15, just 15. China, that's remarkable recovery from this crisis. In Africa, as many as 23 countries have been infected so far, and cases continue to rise. Egypt is the worst affected with 126 cases. South Africa, 61, 28 in Morocco, Algeria, 48, Ghana at 6, and others such as Nigeria have fewer cases.
Now, what's the talk on social media?
COVID-19 is a talk on social media. At Justine_Mesa says 6 cases, Ghana is in crisis. We are not safe. Also at Nadia says only God can protect us. And this interesting one by at Joe Boy says no school for us is good news. Sleeping all the way.
Well, don't panic. No need to panic. Just wash your hands, use sanitizers, and of course, we'll all be safe. Let's continue to pray as well. And that's it for the midday news here on Joy997 FM. I am MF Papa. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com.
Pattern, it means it keeps happening. It's something that always happens. It's recurrent. So a strength is not just something you do once, but it starts as something that is recurrent, something that is a pattern in your life. Now, what are the patterns? There are 3 things that I noted as patterns: your behavior, your thoughts, and your feelings. There is a pattern with which you behave. There is a pattern with which you think. There is a pattern with which you feel. And you can almost tell that pattern because you know that when you are given a set of options, you will naturally want to behave in a certain way towards it, or think in a certain way towards it, or have a certain feeling towards it. And if those options are changed and a new set comes, your pattern will continue to be the same. And most times, you can't do much about it because that is how you are wired. That's your flow. That's who you are. So it's your behavior, it's your feelings, it's your thoughts. Now these 3 are very important. The way you feel, the way you think about issues, the way you behave. You know, if you look behind and you see this artwork here, most of the ideas here come from the pattern of my thoughts. It's my thoughts. It's the way I process my thoughts. Now, you can get another pastor who will get the same artist I work with, and he can't produce anything half this way. You know why? The reason is not that the artist is not good, is that the thoughts will process differently. So we all process our thoughts differently, and I will come to explain that in a more detail. So there is a way in which you think, there is a way in which you behave, there is a way in which you feel. All those are unique to you, and they are patterns in your life. Now, when we say something is a strength, we mean that you are taking those thoughts, those feelings, those behaviors that are unique to you, and you are now using them positively to create results and bring satisfaction and significance to your life. So, strength can be based on so many different things. There are people who have built strength based on different sets of aptitudes and talents, such as making people laugh. There are people whose job in life is to make people laugh. You may call them funny names, but whilst you're laughing at them, they're running all the way to the bank. There are people who talk and have become very successful just talking. There are people who write, people who sell things, people who run, people who jump, people who fight, people who sing, people who play, people who collect garbage, people who keep other people's money, people who build houses, people who throw things, people who guide people, people who plan for people, people who advise people, people who sew clothes, people who grow food, people who cook food, people who sell food, people who take pictures, people who count numbers, people who make sure that things are working well, people who say good things about people, people who help people to decide between right and wrong, people who help people to feel well, people who are kind, people who teach people. So many things. There's no one way. And all these people can turn these simple tools into major achievements in life. That is what strength does. It takes the simple things you have, like jumping, like running, like making people laugh, and then turns it into something major that they can exchange for money, for recognition, for acceptance, and earn a place in life. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you have something unique? Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And can that become a strength? Yes, it can become a strength, and we'll find how to convert it very soon. In order to develop your strength, you must have an area in your life. An area. You must take control of a certain space in your life. That is what I call your area. Your area, in my definition, is made up of four things. Four things make up what I call your area. The number one is your actions. Your actions. If you're going to really develop strength, you must take charge of your actions. That's the first A. The actions, the things you do. In every situation, you must decide what to do. You must take charge of your actions. Others may try to influence you or persuade you, but you make the final decision. Take charge of your actions, what you do. That means that you must be conscious of what you do and be deliberate about what you do. That means you do it purposely because you want to do it. You don't do things and people ask you, why did you do it? You say, well, I don't know. It was there, I was there, and then something said, do it. And then I did it. Now, if you're going to have strength, you have to take charge of your actions. The second is the R. The R is your reactions. You have to take charge and take control of your reactions. And a reaction is what you do when somebody has done something. Somebody insults you and you are going to do something about it. That's a reaction. It's no longer an action. It's a reaction. It's a reaction because it's based on what somebody else has done. Now, you have to control your action, but I think more than everything else, you have to learn to control your reactions. Otherwise, people can set the agenda for your life. People can make you do things you don't want to do. People can make you angry. They can make you fight. They can make you waste your time. They can make you go through your life so bitter that you never really bother to think about yourself. You know, sometimes we go through life and all you want to do is to destroy somebody, not develop yourself, but destroy somebody. And that is a reactive life. So you have to take charge of your reactions, how you react to people. The third thing you have to take charge of is your emotions, how you feel. How you feel. You can't always control your feelings. Human beings are emotional. We are all emotional, and no matter how self-controlled we are, once in a while our emotions get out of hand. You find yourself feeling too emotional about something that your brain doesn't work again. Have you ever felt that way? Your brain is not working, and I'm doing something stupid, but at this time, your emotion is just the master. And you just go on and do something stupid, and then you come up and say, oh, what I did was very stupid. And you insult yourself. But you knew you were doing it. Why? Because emotion took charge of your life. And emotion can take charge of all of us, and we have to really control our emotions. And the fourth is our aptitude. Your aptitude has to do with your natural ability to do something. It's your talent, your gift, your abilities. These are within your area. To really develop strength in life, you must take charge of these 4 areas: your actions, your reactions, your emotions, your aptitude, your own gifts, your talents, your abilities. If you don't take charge of your actions, you're going to do things you'll regret. If you don't take charge of your reactions, people are going to set the agenda for your life. And you're going to pursue other people's dreams and other people's vision and other people's ideas, instead of really what you want to do, because there are people who know which buttons to press in your life and how you behave. They know when they punch you this way, you behave in a certain way. And they keep punching you that way, and they can actually tell people, look, you watch and see. When I say this, watch, you say that. And true to form, they say this, and then you flare up. They say, didn't I tell you? Now you have become like a circus freak. I mean, they are using you like a toy. I don't think that's the way you really want your life, for people to be able to tune you and whine you like that. So that's your reactions. You have to really consciously take charge of your reactions. So those are the 4 important things in what I call your area, your space.
Time for the nation's biggest annual health and fitness event. Saturday, 28th March will be a blast as we hit the road with Life Walk 2020. Join Pastor Mensa Otabil and the International Central Gospel Church as we walk for life. Bring the entire family along as we exercise together and support a worthy cause. Life Walk 2020 starts and finishes at the Independence Square. Starting time, 5:30 a.m. prompt. Prepare to walk for 3 kilometers, 6 kilometers, 9 kilometers, or the full 12 kilometers. Life Walk 2020 is in support of the Mental Health Authority. Purchase your officially recognized walking tag at 10 Ghana cedis from the nearest ICGC assembly. Buy as many as you can, even if you're not walking for any reason. Wear your tag with pride as you support the delivery of mental health care in Ghana. Life Walk 2020, supporting mental health in Ghana.
Thank you for listening to Living Word. To interact with Pastor Mensa Otabil, like his page on Facebook. Follow him on Twitter @Mensa Otabil. Email otabil@centralgospel.com or call +233 302 688 000.
Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
It's 1 o'clock. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Joy Business Report. Workers' Union calls for calm amongst members in the wake of the spread of the deadly coronavirus. We have details for you. Plus, telecoms giant MTN appeals to the regulator National Communications Authority to issue a universal license to telcos to reduce cost of operation. We hear from the chief executive of MTN on measures to mitigate the impact of the coronavirus spread on them. Details right here, right now on the Joy Business Report. My name is Darryl Kwao. The business report at 1 is brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. The receiver for some defunct financial institutions has hinted of taking legal action against persons that have taken loans and refused to pay. George Afe has details of a notice issued by the receiver, Eric Nananipa.
According to the receiver, he's taken this action because these borrowers have just failed to pay their loans after several attempts. He's therefore asking these defaulters to visit identified banks for the repayment of the loans immediately. The receiver adds that he would also not hesitate to publish the names of these borrowers in the national and international papers. The receiver, in the recent interview with Joy Business, noted that he had been struggling to recover the assets of these defunct companies. He had told Joy Business that he has been able to get about 100 million Ghana cedis out of the over 1 billion Ghana cedis assets out there. The receiver believes that some of these drastic measures are needed to help recover the funds. Joy Business is learning that if it had not been the about 5 billion Ghana cedis cash and bonds that government provided, the institution might have struggled to settle the initial payments that were partially finalized last month. According to the Consolidated Bank, he has paid out more than 2 billion Ghana cedis in cash to over 6,000 clients of these defunct companies.
That was George Afe's report. The Bank of Ghana has directed all financial institutions to fully activate all electronic channels to ensure that access to funds are not affected in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. This is one of several measures the bank has announced following the ban on a public gathering in the country because of the virus. The directive is coming at a time that some bank customers are struggling to access their deposits from their ATMs. Now, the central bank in a notice is, however, advising customers not to engage in any panic withdrawals in these times, which might not be good for the banks. There would be more on business news on Newsnight at 6:30 p.m. Now, telecoms giant MTN is making a strong case asking the regulator, the National Communications Authority, to consider issuing a universal access license to telecom operators. According to MTN, operators should have access to available spectrum like 4G or 3G, and in the separate purchases when needed or made available. Salam Adadivo is Chief Executive of MTN Ghana.
2G license expired early December last year after 15 years of being in operation. Now renewed the 2G license for an additional 15 years. The reason for the renewal, first of all, is today we have approximately 60% of our customers who do not have smartphones and therefore continue to use 2G services. So the need for 2G today and in the medium term is extremely high. Until this 60% acquire smartphones, we won't be able to shift them onto 3G or 4G. So that's the first reason. But the second reason is also that we do expect the regulator and the policymakers to institute universal access license in the next few years. And if that happens, we'll be able to utilize the spectrum for 2G for higher technologies as well. So it serves our immediate and medium-term needs, but would also provision us for our future needs when it comes to higher-based technologies.
The MTN boss has also been speaking about the coronavirus outbreak, assuring that his company has put in place all necessary measures to minimize the impact on operations.
It's obviously one of our top risks that we're looking at today, and the big risk is about supply chain. Every year we continue to expand our capacity from our equipment on the IT side as well as on the network side. So today we're working with our vendors to ensure that the impact of the coronavirus on our capacity needs are minimized. We started off by placing a lot of our orders very early in the year so that even if there are delays, that it won't impact us significantly operationally. We continue to work with our other suppliers as well on the people side to make sure that their own processes to manage the coronavirus are tight and ensure that our mitigation strategies are confirmed. So we do flag it as a risk, but we're doing everything we can in our power to ensure that the impact of any delays is minimal on our business.
Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Selim Adadivo, spoke to Joy Business when his company took his turn at the Facts Behind the Figures session at the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, the Ghana Mine Workers Union has asked all its members to remain calm, especially those at Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi Mine. The assurance comes from the union. The assurance from the union comes after a staff at the mine yesterday was reported to have tested positive for coronavirus after a UK trip. General Secretary of the union, Abdul Mumin Bana, who spoke to Joy Business, asked members to comply with all safety protocols to minimize the spread of the virus.
The whole issue about the coronavirus is something everybody appears to be very much concerned about. But at this moment, we have appealed to our members to stay calm. There's absolutely no reason for any panic. And I think that the government has also acted quite proactively in coming out with some basic, procedures or steps to adopt. Indeed, the one that has been recorded so far linked to one employee of Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi Mine. The company, we're in talks with the company, and so far the feedback we have gotten on the ground is that the individual has been quarantined and all that is required is being deployed to ensure that, he gets the needed attention and to ensure that he's warded completely off from any possible contacts with others. I also hear some detailed contact tracing has been conducted, and so far some people have also been self-quarantined in their various homes, and monitoring is effectively going on. So far, so good. But I think that at this very moment, there's absolutely no basis for any panic situation.
You heard the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Bana. Meanwhile, production from the mine will continue alongside construction work related to the Obuasi redevelopment project. Turning to other news, some business owners have renewed calls for the Ghana Revenue Authority to rethink its strategy in collecting taxes from them. A recent report by the Ghana UK Chamber of Commerce revealed that there is little or no transparency in calculating the tax charge industries, especially those in the SME sector. In the following report, the Chamber called for a review in order to boost investor confidence.
According to the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce, businesses are ready to pay the right amount of taxes to the state if the right channels are created without any negative impact on the operations. The report also cited corruption at some state regulatory agencies, which includes bribery and payment of non-approved fees before a service rendered. Executive Director Ajoba Chiama told Joy Business that they have begun engagement with the Ministry of Finance to find a solution to these and some other challenges facing businesses.
Ghana Revenue Authority comes to them and audits and then applies interest, and all of that is very inconvenient and very, very frustrating. So it's more to do with the processes of engaging with the Ghana Revenue Authority. As a chamber, what we do is that we provide an advocacy platform, and so we are indeed engaging with the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Aunka Lindsay, promised many initiatives under review to ensure that challenges facing businesses are addressed. He also disclosed that government is committed to moving from heavy dependence on revenue from customs duty this year.
Taxation is important, but our greatest opportunity in taxation is to increase the absolute amount we get and move away over-reliance, let me rephrase that, on taxation based on customs. Again, if we're trying to industrialize the manufacturing, most of our taxation shouldn't be coming from customs, it should be coming from corporate tax.
The Chamber is expecting a review in the strategy adopted by the Ghana Revenue Authority, where it chases defaulting businesses.
Before we go, one of Ghana's foremost poultry producers, Dako Farms, is expected to bounce back into operations after receiving 10 million Ghana cedi cash support from Exim Bank. Ghana is plagued with excessive importation of frozen chicken, high cost of poultry feed, and the absence of credit schemes, among others, bringing the industry to its knees. But the new development, according to the chief executive of the Ghana Exim Bank, Lawrence Ajensam, is part of government's plans to revive the local industry.
Dako Farms will be up and running in this year. We've already given him 10 million Ghana cedis to reach our state and make sure the poultry industry, we import almost about 90% of poultry into this country. That has to be reversed. And that is the role of this bank, to cut down on imports and make sure we are self-sufficient. But if you recall, in 2016, the talk was that why would you want to do one district, one factory when there are other districts or factories that were suffering? So the government came in with a stimulus. So in our mix, you see that we are not only concentrating on the greenfields, but we are also reviving. Drabin Oil today is one of our best customers in terms of repayments.
And you had the chief executive of the Ghana Exim Bank, Lawrence Ajinsam, ending the business news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Of course, there's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Up next is Sports Track with Gary Al Smith. Geez, the ban on public gatherings, I'm just wondering what it does to our efforts to generate interest in the local Premier League.
Exactly, and finally, we are not leaving all the coronavirus updates to you, the business team, to explore what it does to the local economy. Wow. So today, that's exactly what you're going to do, as if you are patient. We are going to ask the Ghanaian Premier League clubs how they aim to survive simply in this period. What is going to do to their profits, their bottom line, and all that from now until 2.
Otublohum. Ni Papo Oti, Adontehin of Otublohum, Emmanuel Agopakpo, head of Shia Ete, David Kwate Korte, head of Namwa Royal Family, Madam Ruth Hayward Mills, Emmanuel Azuma Nelson, Daniel N. Mankata, Dr. Henry I. Kwe, Colonel Monica Ando, retired, Festus T. Tete, Ni Jase Bannerman, Mrs. Ruby E. Corty Taylor, Mr. James R. Kwe, Mr. Peter K. Corty, Ni Papa Blofunyo, Honorable Henry Corty, Deputy Minister National Security and MP for Ayawaso Central Constituency, Adole Akosia family of Kolewoko, announced with deep sorrow and with gratitude to God for the home call of dear beloved Rida Na Oyo Korte. She died aged 70. Which sad event happened on the 9th of February 2020 at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Funeral arrangements are as follows. There will be no